Get ready for Kevin McCarthy's revenge. The now retired Republican representative, the former Speaker of the House, who was unceremoniously ousted from his position last year, is plotting revenge against the so-called Gaetz Eight that got him kicked out of the speakership to begin with. And the Gaetz Eight refers, of course, to Matt Gaetz, who kind of spearheaded the whole thing, and then the other 7 lawmakers that came to vote with the Democrats to get McCarthy out of the speakership. So what's happening is that McCarthy is using his allies in Congress and allies outside of Congress to recruit primary candidates to run against the Gaetz Eight to hopefully kick these people out of office, just like McCarthy is no longer in office. Here's what's happening. This is from Brian Walsh, who's a McCarthy ally who's overseeing this recruiting. He says, "These traitors chose to side with Nancy Pelosi, AOC, and over 200 Democrats to undermine the institution, their fellow Republicans, and a duly elected speaker. There must be consequences for that decision." Consequences for that decision. Sure. The consequence, by the way, was Kevin McCarthy, losing the speakership. Because Kevin McCarthy is the one who agreed to the deal with Matt Gaetz and the other holdouts back in January of last year when he said, how about if you make me speaker now, I'll change the rules so that if just one of you brings up a challenge, we have to hold a new vote on whether or not I can still be speaker, right? That's the consequence for his actions. McCarthy agreed to that. McCarthy kind of knew it was eventually going to happen. And then he's pissed off when it happens, when he's the one who put the wheels in motion for it to happen in the first place. I get it. Look, I totally understand it. But you don't understand his liability in all of this. If he hadn't agreed to that deal, if he had maybe done some other kinds of deals, he'd still be in Congress, right? He'd still be Speaker of the House. But he's not, because of what he chose to do, because he was so desperate for the power. Also, let me poke another, little bitty hole in your plan here. You're talking about running primary opponents against people. Here are some of the ones they've named. Nancy Mace, Bob Good, Eli Crane. Those are the 3 most vulnerable people, they say. You do realize that in most of those states, the time frame to even register for the primary has passed you by. Yeah. So, it's a decent plan, right? Hey, let's have normal people run against the crazy people. Sure, I support normal over crazy. But you should have done this 5 months ago, man. The second they kicked you out of the speakership, you should have been on the phone with, okay, guys, let's get some people to run against these people. But you waited, and we've already had certain primaries. Again, most states, you've already missed the filing deadline. So what are you actually gonna do? There's nothing you can do. I would love to see these freaks lose their seats to a primary challenger. I absolutely would. But again, you should have come up with this idea 4 or 5 months ago. You had the time. You weren't speaker anymore. So you really had a lot of time on your hands, Kev. You could have done any bit of this at that point. But you didn't. You waited until the primaries had already started to be hey, what if we run people against them? Oh, shoot, the primaries are over? Oh, darn it. Yeah, this is coming from the guy that's supposed to be the master strategist, right? The young guns. He and Eric Cantor and Paul Ryan were called at one point. No, they're just as dumb as the rest of them, but hey, good luck with your plan anyway.
Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.